Welcome. In this video, we will be demonstrating the FizzBuzz algorithm. FizzBuzz is a very simple programming task which is often asked at technical job interviews to determine whether a candidate can actually write any code. As simple as it is, it can be very challenging for some beginner programmers. So without further ado, let's jump into the lab and see how this is done. So the question usually takes this format where it says write a program that prints the number from 1 to 100, but for multiples of 3 print 5 fizz instead of the number, and for multiples of 5 print buzz. For numbers which are multiples of both 3 and 5 print FizzBuzz. This question could be tackled in different ways. Left to me, I can program this solution in like 3 different ways or more even, but the simplest one that I would want to do is by just testing the program first. This is how I will proceed. This is how I will begin. I first started with writing the simple conditions first, which says if the number, let's say a num, if num, let's just begin here, say num is equal to 3, the first divisible item there. If num, to check for divisibility, we use the modulo sign because the modulus always returns a remainder. So if the number is divisible by 3, the remainder should be 0. The remainder should be 0. So if num mod 3 is equal to 0, then we know it is divisible by 3. Then we have to print fizz. Okay. Now, if num mod 5, if you check for the divisibility by 5 in this case, if num mod 5 is also equal to 0, which means the return there is 0, then we have to print buzz. Okay. Right. And it's also said we should check if it is divisible by 3 and 5. So if num is divisible, so the mod of 3 is equal to 0, and let's give a space there, and mod of 5 as well, the divisibility, let's check, just take it here, borrow it from there, paste it here. Then we have to print FizzBuzz in this case. Okay, so fizz and buzz. Right, but if it is neither divisible by 3, no, divisible by 5, we should print buzz. We should print the number. Print num. Okay, we just return the number. So let's test this condition, but it's not going to work because if this one happens, if we print this, it's still going to follow up with this. So we have to wrap this inside an elif block. If not, if we don't put this inside the elif block, if we print this, it's still going to go down to this line. So we have to wrap it in an elif block as well. So if it is 3, so let's test it with 3 now. Save and run. We have our fizz. Then let's test again with 5 and run. And we have our buzz, fizz, and then buzz. Then let's say 15 is divisible by 3 and also divisible by 5. So let's see, if we do this with 15, we should have FizzBuzz on the screen displayed, printed out. But if I run this code like this, we're not going to have FizzBuzz, we're going to have Fizz. Let's see. So we run the, so no, that's not what I'm going to do. I just want to run. If I run this code, we have Fizz instead, not FizzBuzz. We're expecting to have FizzBuzz because 15 is divisible by 3. At the same time, 15 is divisible by 5. So why are we not having FizzBuzz displayed on the screen? When you code it like this, you see the code with the most specificity is this line here. So it has to check whether it is divisible by 3, at the same time whether it's divisible by 5. This has more specificity than this one, and more specificity than this one as well. So we need to take this line of code to the top. We want that the program checks for this condition first before moving to the other line of code if that condition is false. So we need to check this first, and then since this one is the first, we need to take it out the elif. It becomes if, and this one becomes elif. So we want that the program checks for the divisibility by 3 and the divisibility by 5 first. When it does that, and if it is not, then it goes down to check the rest of the program. So when we run this now, since 15 is divisible by 3 and at the same time divisible by 5, we're going to have FizzBuzz printed on our screen. So let's run this and see. So we see FizzBuzz now. So let's check the other ones again, as we said. So let's change it back to 15 can go. Let's say 45. We should have FizzBuzz. Again, FizzBuzz. Now let's change it back to 3 to check the other conditions. 3. We should have Fizz. There you go, Fizz. And then let's change it to let's go to 5. 5. Then we have our buzz. So our function is, our program is working now. So we need to now write it in a way that it has to go loop over 100 numbers and print out the number, or Fizz, or buzz, or FizzBuzz. So to do that, we use the for loop. So let's use the for loop for num in range starting at 1 up to 101 to print out all 100 numbers. We have to print out all this. So all this now go inside the for loop block. All right. So when we print out this now, this function, this code will now print out numbers from 1 to 100 and checks for the divisibilities, printing out FizzBuzz, Fizz, and or buzz in each case. So let's run this program and see to make sure it's working. We tested it and it was working, so we wrote the code well. Run that, so we get this. So we see the start of the program is 1, and 1 is 2, then it meets 3, they say Fizz, it means 4, not divisible, buzz, which is 5, 6, which is Fizz, 6, and so on until we got 100. See, we have 100 here. 100 is divisible by 5, 99 is divisible by 3, so we have FizzBuzz. So this is how we have Fizz and buzz. Okay, now I'm now in the library, so let's run this program again. Okay, it's now asking me to input the start of the range. Let's say we begin at 1 as before. I go in the 1 and it's asking me for the number of players. I want you to see this thing. Let's say I made a mistake, as I said, we have to check each time. I made a mistake and press J. Of course, it says I should input a number not less than 1 because I set the start range at 1, just as we saw in the first scenario. So the number of players, I want it to go up to 4 players. All right, the name of player 1, I say Bob. Okay. Now player 2, I say Mary. Player 3, I say Peter. Player 4, I say Joanne. Now Bob is now playing 5, 3, 9, 15. Okay, then okay, time is up. Bob loses time because I input a number which is not a multiple of 3 or 5. So I input 2, so I lose my turn. So it's now Mary's turn to play 5, 9, 15, 3. Okay, then 1. Okay, Mary is out, and then I go. It's now Peter's turn. 5, 9, 15. Okay, 4. Okay, it's now John's turn. 5, 7. Okay, so now you see the scoreboard. In the scoreboard now we see we don't have a clear winner here because there's a draw game between Bob and Mary. So you see it says here that Bob and Mary are draw. So there's not clear winner here. It computed and saw that, oh, there wasn't a clear winner, and it declares the result on the scoreboard. And then you see Bob scored 5 points because there's a draw between Bob and Mary. And you see here Bob has 5 points. And let's go to Mary. Where's Mary? Mary has 5 points as well. Whereas Peter has just 4 points and John has just 1 point. And then you have the list of numbers entered, that the list of numbers that awarded the respective points. You can change the levels. As I said, you can augment the start range. That makes it a bit harder. So because if we say we have to start at a higher range, minimum range, let's say from 15, for example, it becomes more difficult now to actually know which are the numbers that can easily go between easily be multiples of 5 and 3. All right, so and remember that when you repeat a number for which a point had been awarded, if you repeat that number you lose your turn as well. So let's go now into the coding and actually see how the game itself is coded. Okay, all right, this is the part where we start to code our FizzBuzz the game. All right, no longer the coding interview FizzBuzz. This is where we actually turn that little thing into an intuitive game. And you can set the levels. You can set the levels of complexity, of difficulty, and then play as a family. And then I should remind you that it's not a mobile game. It's not a mobile app. It's a console app. It's not even a desktop. It doesn't have graphic user interface. Little projects like this will actually get you hands dirty in the programming, because actually in developing these little games that you can actually see and that you can easily comprehend the logic behind will boost your understanding of software development fundamentals. Okay, so let's jump into the game. So what I want to start with is right. So we're here. Okay. Oh no, let's play that here. Make sure everything is clean there, so there's nothing. A clean sheet. So what I want to start with now, I want to start with gathering requirements. Okay, I want to get requirements for the game first. I want to set the start number. I want to ask the user to enter the start of a number range. So I just go there and say input. What am I typing there? Input, enter. Okay, let's say enter start of range. You can change the words there, but you know what I mean. Start of range. Okay, and I want to save that into a variable. Whatever the user enters for the start of range, I want to save that in a variable because I need to use that later on. All right, so I want to say start number, just call it start num, is equal to that. That's a variable, and because I'm expecting a number from the user, I need to cast what the user enters into an integer. If not, Python reads everything that gets into Python shell as a string. So since I'm expecting an integer, a number, If I don't cast that, it will be difficult for me to use that in further computation. Python reads that as a string. I can only concatenate that number with other strings. I cannot actually add the value or compute the value because it is a string. I need to, in order for me to do that, to be able to do that, I need to cast that into a string, into an integer. So I say start num is equal to, I pass that into the int function start num, right? And then I do the same thing for the number of players. I want the user to enter number of players, so I say num players. Let's change the variable here, say num players is equal to that. I say enter num players, not start of range anymore. Enter number of players that's going to be taking part in the game. Okay, so we save that in num players variable as well. Then we go further to say, oh, we need to cast that as well. So I say num players. Let me just copy the variable here. Okay, paste there. Is equal to int function, and in that int function I pass in the num players. So that's how I cast those two numbers. I have them now. Then I have those two now. Now I want to loop. Now I want to create a list of number of or a list of players. Now I want to instantiate players. Now at each instance of a player, get the name of the player and store in a player list. I have a list of players, so I have to store them there. The reason being that I need to associate their scores with each player. So let's go further now to create the player list. To create this player list, I need to loop through the number of players that was input. Remember, it's dynamic, right? We've not hard coded any number. So at each time, the number of players is going to be changing. So there will be a time that just 2 players will be playing, just 1 player will be playing, just 10 players will be playing. So we have to create the function that has to handle all these different scenarios. So each number that comes in for the number of players, we have to loop through that numbers and dynamically create instances of the players. So we can do that in 2 ways. We can do that with for loops, and we can do that using for while loop. But since this is a tutorial project, is meant for teaching, okay, so we're gonna do both ways, and then I'll choose the while loop. But we're gonna do both ways, so so that if you have issues understanding for loop or while loop, this is another chance of you getting your hands dirty and enhancing your knowledge about looping. Okay, so the same thing, I'm gonna do it in for loop, then I'll do it in while loop. Then we'll clean up the while loop. You can do it anyways. Okay, so just leave it clean, but we'll do it both ways. So let's begin with the for loop. So I'm gonna loop through. So by the way, let's put this thing in a function. Let's put all this thing in a function called play game. You can call it anything. Let's say play game, or let's just say game. Okay, say def, the keyword for our defining our function, def game or play game, which is a function, takes no parameter, and everything here underneath that goes in an indentation because it's the function description. Okay, so we are describing what the function does or what happens inside the function. Everything in here is inside the function now. So that's what we are declaring. We are retrieving the start num and the number of players and things like that, casting them into integers. And now we want to loop. I'm now going to use a for loop now first, then we'll do the while loop later, as I said. So for I in range starting from 1 to num players plus 1, yeah, because we have to exhaust the number of players. Remember, range begins at 0 by default, since I'm forcing it to begin at 1, I have to exhaust all the numbers. So I have to go num range plus 1. All right. So for I in that range, we want to say player name of player name. We want to say player name is equal to, then we call the input function again. We call the input function enter. We ask the user to enter the name of the player who's supposed to be playing at the time, or instantiate as it goes. It loops through the number of players. If it is 5 times, and each time of I, each instance of I, the user has to enter the name of that player at that time, and we need that name, that variable, the name of that player, we need to store that in the list of players. That's what we're trying to do here. So we're asking the user at each instance of I to enter the name for player. Enter the name of player, not for player. Of player. That's what we want to do. And the name of player. Okay. So then we have to append this to a list. So we don't have a list yet. So let's create a list. Let's declare a list here. We'll say player list. Let's call it list for some people to understand. Player list, and it's empty at this stage. When we declare it is empty, now we need to put the names of players in there. So we say player list. Let's copy it. Tired of typing. Let's copy that. Let's copy that, and then we call the append function on the list. The append function on the list, and add and pass in the instance of the player. Okay, and we're passing in that player there. So that's what we're trying to do. So let's print this one out and see if it's working. See our program. So let's print our player list. Let's print, what are we printing? Yes, let's print our player list and see if it's working. Let's print that player list. So let's call the play game function. Remember, this is a function definition. So with the function definition, so we declare a function, we give function description. All this is function definition. So this function does nothing. Let me run it. You see, it does nothing. We saw that in our, so nothing happens. It's not printing because we're not ask the function to do anything, to print out anything. It's just defining itself. So we need to call that function now to so that it can print out this player list, to just make sure we are on the right track, so we don't wait. So when we're writing code, write a bit and make sure it runs, so that when you get the breakage, because we're gonna have a lot of breakage everywhere. So when you get your breakage, you know exactly where your breakage is coming from. Okay, so I'm gonna run this one now. I'm gonna call the play game function and make sure everything is working at this stage. Okay, before we continue. All right, so I'm gonna call the play game. So then when I run this time, it's asking. So it's asking me to put start of range. I say 1. It's asking me number of players. Let's say 3. Name of enter the name of player. I say let me say what, Bob. Okay. Then Peter. Okay. Mary. Okay. See, it prints our list. This is what we're trying to do. Welcome back. So in the last video, we saw how we use the for loop to create the list of players. Now I want us to use the while loop to create the same list of players. Okay, we're not going to delete the for loop at the moment. We're just going to comment that out so that we can make comparison, so that we can see the two. So I'm going to just create the while loop here. So, but to create the while loop first, I need to create a counter. So I can just call that counter. I need to declare the counter and initialize it. So I call that same counter. Since we have it there, all right, let's just say counter. It works the same as this I. It's basically the same thing, just for flavors. Let's give it a different name. Counter is equal to 1, because we need to increment this. That will be the exit point for our while loop. If not, we're gonna have an infinite while loop. Okay, very dangerous. So first you set your counter, then you set a point where the while loop has to stop looping. Okay, because with the for loop, the loop stops when the list is exhausted. Okay, but with the while loop, you need to set the counter. You need to set where it has to stop. So this is what we're going to do. We start with 1, and then we say while counter count is less than and equal to num players. Okay, what do we do there? Then we instantiate a player and append to the player list. Same thing there. So then it's the same thing, practically the same thing. Then we have to remember to increment count. If we don't increment count will always be 1. The loop will never stop looping. The while loop will that's what we call infinite loop. So you need to remember to increment the count. So we say count. We use the augmentation operator to increment the count by 1. The first instance count is 1, and then when it does the first looping, I is incremented to 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. It goes 2 times. So if there were 3 players to play, the first time is 1. It goes through the loop, increments to 1 plus 1 becomes 2. It loops again the second time, goes here, increments 2 plus 1 becomes 3, loops again and comes back here. 3 plus 1 is 4. It realizes that 4 is over, because we said count must be less than or equal to the number of players. So when it was 3 is equal to the number of players. So but when it comes out the third time, here I is 4. When it goes back up, 4 is not less than or equal to 3. That was the number of players that was input by the user. So the looping breaks, then you're free. Then we want to print out now, same thing we did here. We want to print out now the number of lists, so that we do the same thing. You see it works the same. We want to print out now the player list. Okay, so to make sure it's working, let's comment out to know that it's not this one running, it's this one which is running. So let's comment this one out. Okay, let's just say coming from, let's just put some string here to tell us so that if you are like me, Thomas, to make sure you know where the printing is coming from, which print is printing. So we print that again. Yeah, we did that. Yeah, print that again. So enter name, range 2, number of players, say 4. So let's say Bob, Thomas, Peter, John. Okay, while loop. Okay, it's coming from while loop. That's the list. Okay, so it's basically the same thing. So now in the next video, we're gonna see how we can change it for semantics, make it become interactive as if your computer is talking to you. Okay, so it uses the proper words. Okay, see you in the next video. Okay, welcome back. So in the last video, we saw that we could use the while loop or the for loop, and then I said then we'll pick one. So you can go with the for loop, but let's take out this for loop here, then leave the while loop. Okay, so let's go for this. Okay, so you see we still have it here. So this is what we want to do now. So what we want to do now is if we run this program, you see it's asking us to put a start of range. I go 1, then it says enter name or a number of players. I say 3. So when I say 3, it says enter the name of player. I say Bob, then it says enter name of player. I say John, it says enter name of player. We want it to be interactive, to mean something. So if it is the first player, we want it to say enter name of player 1, player 2, player 3. So let's see how we can do that. So we stop running. So here, when it says enter enter the name of player, we want it to say enter name of player 1, but you know we can't hard code 1 here, because if we say enter name of player 1, each time it runs it's going to ask you enter name of player 1, because remember it's just asking you at the moment. Currently it's saying enter name of player. Each time we want it to make sense, to be interactive, so we want it to say enter name of player 1. Okay, so in that case we use the variable count, because remember count is changing. That's one of the reasons I went for count being 1, to force it to start at 1, because I want to use the count each time, or so I want that to use that count each time. The first time count is 1, I want to use it here to say enter name of player 1. When count is 2, it should say enter name of player 2. And to use the variable inside the string, we use the f string formatting. To use the f string formatting, you put the curly bracket here, open and close, and you put count. You put the variable there, because remember each time count, the first time count is 1, the count here is 1. The first time it's looping, the count gets into this loop with the value of 1. It comes here and fits in 1 here, so it becomes player 1. Okay, let's run that and see. Then it goes player 2. So let's run that. So enter start of range 1, then enter a number of players, let's say 4. So it says, oh, see one thing? It's a enter name of player count. I say Bob. Okay, it's a enter name of player count. Obviously that's not what we want. Okay, I even spelled the count wrongly, so obviously that's not what we want. Okay, so the reason it's not picking up the variable, but it's just writing out the string you wrote, is because we have to use the f string. So we come here before the quotation mark and put f there. Just by doing that, whenever it loops, it comes here. You see this thing as the color has changed. It now raises this as a variable. It goes where the variable was declared, which starts from here, and fetch the value at each time. That's what's happening now. So when we run that now, I will say number of start of range is 1, number of players is, let's say, 4. You see, enter name of player 1. See, there you go, Bob. Enter name of player 2. Enter name of player 3. And enter name of player 4. Whatever. Okay? You see? Exactly that what we want. We can still do make it better. What if we want to say enter name of the first player? Now it's saying, which is good, it's fine. Enter name of player 1. It's doing the job for which it was meant to do. So it's okay. But what if we want to say enter name of first player, enter name of second player, enter name of third player, enter name of fourth player, enter name of fifth player, enter name of 11th player, enter name of the 21st player, enter name of 100th player? What if we want to do that? How can we do that? Remember, this is a teaching video, so if we were a project, it's okay like that. But we want to see how we can use software development fundamentals, coding fundamentals, and to understand the underlying concepts of programming. Okay, that's why we're bringing up this. Actually, at the moment, it's saying enter name of first player, one player, player 1. Let's say we want to say player first player, second player, third player, fourth player. How do we do that? So we can come up here and make some declarations so that we can use that in the looping. So we'll go on top of the loop. Here we declare our count. Before that, let's say we declare a let's say a text value. Let's say text value, text is equal to nothing. Okay, empty string. Okay, let's see if that's how we want to do it. Then we say if no, we do that. Yeah, we do that in the count. Sorry, we did that in the count in the while loop. Sorry, we do that in the while loop. We have to do that in the while loop because that's where the count is incrementing for the purpose of. So when we say if um, if count is equal to 1, we say text is equal to, oh sorry, text is equal to first. Makes sense, right? They will say elif count is equal to 2. Yeah, you guess where we're going, right? Text is equal to, why am I writing text? It's so thick. I don't like that. Okay, let's just leave it like that. Okay, text is equal to second. Okay, like that. So if it is 2, it will be 2, the number 2, then ND at the back. But they say, oh man, we're gonna do it for every number. No, watch and see. We're not gonna do it for every number. Just watch and see. What about 100th? What about 21st? 11th? 15th? Let's see. We're gonna take up all those scenarios. So let's say again, yeah, elif count is equal to 3. Remember this comparison operator, okay? So it's equal to 3. Text is equal to third, yeah? Guess right, yeah? Third, so 1, 3 and RD at the end. Then for every other scenario, I think we've covered everything. Because if it is 23, it should be 23rd. We're gonna see how we're gonna do that. We're not gonna do it all up to 23rd. No, we're gonna see what we can do there. So then we say else for every other thing else. Else text is equal to, sorry, text equals to th for 4th, 5th, 6th, right? 10th, 11th. Yeah. 12. Now what about 20th? Yeah. 22nd. No. We say for every other thing else, it should say th. And we're saying that what if it is 21? Because we say for every other scenario, it should it be 21st or 20 th? So we're gonna see how we're gonna take all that. We can't go H number, okay? So that's why I brought this up, so you see how the thought process behind conceptualizing a project, okay? How to, even though it's a small project, but it gives you ground and how you think about writing your code, okay? So we're saying text here. Let's call it suffix, suffix, whatever. So okay, like it's because I want to use. Yeah, let's just change this to. Let's refactor. Oh no, that's not what I mean. Let's refactor this to. Let's change that name. I don't like that name because I want to use that same text for other purpose. So let's say suffix, the text after, so you see, changes everything. Suffix is equal to that. So, and now, when we come here, oh my word, okay. When we come here now and say, so we say, we come here and put the variable, let's put the variable suffix in here. Let's put the variable so that when it is 1, it goes and fetch whatever variable corresponds to 1, okay? And put it here. So we put its own curly braces again and put suffix there. Suffix, okay? Now let's see, is it working? Okay, let's take this player here and the name of first player now should go after that, okay? All right. So let's run this and see if we break things. All right. Let's say one player, two players. Sorry. Start range is two. Let's say three players. So enter name of first player. You see, that's exactly what we're trying to do. See, enter name of first player, not player one anymore. If you were happy about player one, you can leave it like that. But you could see go further. That's why we're bringing out this. It's a teaching video. Remember, just to understand the thought process behind software developer, okay, the daily life of software developer, the thought process about how you think about conceptualizing anything. Okay, so enter the name of first player. It's a Bob. Enter name of second player. That's our objective. Well, I didn't enter anything there. Then enter name of third player, whatever. That's what we wanted to do. Okay. Then we went on and so on and so forth. So it's doing its job. It's doing its job. So that's what we wanted. Now, what if we, what, okay, like for example, see, this is what I want to do. Another scenario. What if it is just one player? So the range is starts at two. How many number of players? Say one. It says enter name of first player. Why should you say enter name of first player when it's only one player? Doesn't make sense, right? That's not intuitive. That's not interactive. It doesn't make sense. So we want it to know if it is just one player. It shouldn't say enter name of first player. It doesn't make sense. Because when you say enter name of first player, it gives an idea that it's more than one player. So when it's just one player, why should it say enter name of first player? That's a dumb program, right? Like it doesn't. So we want it to be able to understand that when it's one player, it shouldn't say enter name of first player. It should say enter name of player. And if it is more than one, then it can say enter name of first player and enter name of second player. That makes more sense, right? Okay, so how do we do that? How do we achieve that? That's the task we want to do. You describe your task, you identify what you want to do, describe it. Now you go and see how you can implement that. That's a step by step. You implement a little bit of your project, then you run it. Make sure you don't break everything. So that if it breaks, you know exactly where at what stage it was running well, so you know what you did wrong and so on. So don't build massive things, type, and then actually realize that it's not working well, and you have no clue where the problem is coming from. All right. So we build bit by bit. We run them. So up to now it's running. Now we want to add some functionality again. We want to make it to say enter name of player when it's just one player, not enter name of first player when it's one player. It doesn't make sense. So that's why I changed that text to suffix, because I want to use text now here. Okay. Then I say here, if num players is greater than one, that's what we're doing, right? It's greater than one. What should it do? What should it do? If non-players is greater than one, what should it do? We should say text is equal to this. Let's take this all out. Huh? Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. Let's cut that. Is that what we're trying to say? Yes. Let's cut this out. Oh no. Let's just take only this part out. Only this part out. Yeah. Only that part out. Yeah. Text is equal to text is equal to that. So we don't need this. I don't think we need this anymore. Yeah, we don't need this anymore. No, it's a string. So text is a string. We have to put it back in there. So text is a string. So we need that there. We need it. It's a string. Okay. Text is a string. We need it out there. Huh? Is that working? Oh no, we the way we, yeah. So it's working now. So text is a string. Then we come here now. Okay. So if that is that, else, yeah, else text is equal to nothing. Yeah. So when we put text here now, enter name of text player. So we call the variable text here. Okay, let's see if it works. Okay, so we say if it is greater than 1, it would say it will put everything, all this here, the count and everything here. We'll get those values and lie them side by side like that in a string format. It will be context player. And if the count is not greater than 1, which means count is just the number of players is 1, then this thing will be an empty string. So we just have enter the name of player, because here it's empty. Let's see if it works the way we want. So let's run this. Okay. Enter start of range. Enter name of player. Enter number of player. Let's say 1. You see, enter name. Enter the name of player. There's no first player there anymore. Okay. So let's just keep out and go to. So it seems to be working for 1 player. Let's see if it will know. So it doesn't say enter the name of first player anymore. It knows it's just 1 player. So let's see if it can recognize. It's intelligent enough to recognize what to say when it's more than 1 player. So let's run the program again. This time we use more than 1 player. Okay. Start of range 1. Number of players, let's say 4. Enter name of first player. It's working, right? Bob. Okay. Second player, Paddy. Third player. Okay, so it's working. It's working. Okay, so that's what we wanted to achieve. But let's take care of those edge cases we were talking about when it is 20th, because we say for everything else it should say th, but we don't want it to say 21 th. 20. Yeah, because there's nothing like 21 th. There's 21 st. All right, so it's not gonna put st the way we coded it now. It's never gonna put st after 21. It's gonna do it for 20, 20, but it's not gonna do it for 21. It's not gonna do it for 23. Okay, it's not gonna do it for 23. It's gonna put 23 then th, which is wrong. It should be 23 or d. So let's test it. Okay, so let's just run it now. So start range 1, number of players, let's say 23, 24. We're not going to put names, just going to enter, so that we just want to see the semantics, what it's saying. Okay, so 24. So it's the enter name of first player, yeah, enter name of second player, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. Everything is fine. 9th, 10th, yes, 11th, yes, 12th, yeah, and so on. 14, 15, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, right? Everything's working as planned. 20th, right? Now 21th, that's wrong. We should expect to have st there. Now 22, we should have nd. It's not picking that up. These are edge cases. 23, it should be rd. It's not picking that up. 24th, it's okay. Okay, so that's what we're trying to say. So we should have 52nd, 51st, not 50 th, not 51 th. So how do we achieve that? So let's go here. Instead of saying if count is equal to 1, it's not going to take care of every other scenario. So instead, why don't we use the modulus? If we use the modulus operator, it's going to take care of all those other scenarios. We don't need to count up to that level. We should use the modulus operator. If we say if count mode, we say count mode 10 is equal to 1. It takes care of everything. So count mode 10, so it's equal to 1. It should say st. So modulus operator returns the remainder. That's why we use modulus. So if you take any number divided by 1 by 10, it returns 1. Then it should write st. That's what we're basically saying. So that means if it goes to 20th, 21st, 21 divided by 10 is 2 remainder 1. That means 21 mod 10 is 1. because I said mod returns only the remainder. So 29 mod 10 is 1, so it takes care of that, right? 51, same thing. 51 mod 10 is 1. 61, 61st, things like that. All right, so we've taken care of that as well. So if it goes to second, if it goes to here we say mode as well. Everywhere we put mode, say mode, same. So mode 10. If it is 2, then it's second. So it goes to 22nd. 22 mod 10 is 2. All right, so we're taking care of that. All right, then we go to here and say mod 3. Okay, if count mod 3, mod 10, sorry. Count mod, so instead of saying if count is equal to 3, say count mod 3. It takes out all the 10th and the 100th. That's why we're using mod, okay? And then it said that we return this. For every other scenario, we should return th. All right, we've taken care of all those things, and it works. But there's a little edge case that we need to take care of still. So let's run this at the moment. Remember, every bit you have to run your code, make sure everything is working. So start of range 1, and number of players, let's go up to the 24th as we said before. 24. Okay, so 21st player, first player, second, working as expected, working 10th, 11th, first. All right, so that's what I wanted to say. We're going to take care of that. So it should say 11th, because apart from inside the rule, 11 doesn't go with TST. All the rest go with ST. For some reason, we say 11th, but we say 21st. We don't say 20. We don't say 21th, or I don't know how to pronounce it, or 31th. We say 31st. But when it comes to 11, we say 11th. For whatever reason, I have no clue, but that's what it is. That's English. That is semantics. We're trying to teach our program how to speak proper English. That's what I'm trying to say. So we have 11. We're going to take care of that. So we continue. 12. So we shouldn't have 12. We should have 12, right? We shouldn't have 12 with ND, okay? Because 12 mod 10 is 2. That's why we're having mod 12. Okay? Okay, 10, third, that's wrong as well, okay? And then 14th, okay, we start to get it right there, okay, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. Then we have 20th, okay? Then we expect to have 21st here, okay? 21st, as we expected, okay? Okay. Yeah, so because after 10, that's where the problem is. We have 11, we have 11, 12, 13th, we don't have 3 and we don't have 1, 3 and RD for some reason. I don't know why. But we have 2, 3 and RD. But we don't have 1, 3 and RD. Alright, so for the first 10th, after the first 10th is alright. So we're going to take care of those edge cases to teach our program how to speak English. Okay. So 21st, and we'll see 22nd. That's what we want. 23rd and 24th. If we went up to 30th, 50, the rule applies. It holds well. Okay. So we break out. All right. So let's take care of the edge cases now. The other edge case, so it's working except for the first 10th. That it seems to be speaking gibberish. Okay, so so we're saying in this case here, surface is a one. Well, if count mod 10 is equal to 11, is equal to 1, it should say ST. Okay, but it should take account of the 11th. All right, if it is 11, it shouldn't say ST. Okay, if this is 11, it will fall under this TH here. What is it? TH here. Okay, it should not say ST, so it should say TH. So that's what we want to account for here. So we put another if clause there. If count is equal to 11, if count is not equal to 11, that's what we mean. So we don't need to write many codes, okay? So if count is not equal to 11, as I would say, like this. Okay, if count is not equal to 11, it should do this. That's what it should do. Then we indent this. Okay, simply as that. And we do the same thing. Simple as that. Then we go to second, we do the same thing. If count is not equal to the same thing here, if count, let's give space here to make it cleaner. Okay, if count is not equal to 12, okay, it should put ND. In that case, it throws 12 here. 12 is taken care of by this S. Okay, so if count is not equal to 12, it should say ND. But if it is 12, it will bring it here. Okay, that's what it means. Give space here to make it cleaner. Then we do the same thing with this. If count is not equal to 13, it should do that. I think that's the rest. Everything else is taken care of. That's what we're trying to do here. So yeah, else it does that. Let's give a space here, make it cleaner. That's what we're doing here. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. Then this, and then let's run it now and see if it works. Oh, I'm having read this. There's a wrong thing done somewhere. I'm having it's giving out somewhere. This syntax error somewhere is giving out red. I can't identify where it is. Can't see well. My old glass is not letting me see well. To this line. Okay, all right. So okay, no indentation. We have to indent. Okay, that's where the problem was. Couldn't see it. Okay, start of range 1. Number of players. Let's say let's go up to 25. Okay. 25 to, you know. Okay, so enter name of first player. Yeah, everything's working. 5th player, 6th player, 7th player, 8th player, 9, 10, 11. All right, that's what we wanted, right? See 12, not 2 and ND, right? 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, watch out, 21st, okay, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th. That's how we teach our program to speak English. Alright, welcome back. In the last video we saw how we can teach our program to speak proper grammar. So we want to look at the code we wrote and see if we can enhance the code, make it better. We could simplify this if statement again further, make it cleaner and more professional. See here we are nesting if statements inside another if statement here. We can further simplify this by saying that if this is this, and we can use the AND operator here. That was an and this and count is not equal to 11, then we can take out this. So this is how you could write this as well. Take out those lines away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So we can further reduce this using the ternary expression. So let's see how we can do that. So let me just comment here. See ternary expression. Okay, ternary expression. In ternary expression, the formula is by convention you go you say variable is equal to, let's put this in a bracket so you understand. We're writing inside bracket here. Variable is equal to value 1 if then condition, if condition, put your condition here, else val2, val2. Okay, so this is how it goes. This is how it's written. Okay, a variable is equal to value 1 if condition, else value 2. So what we're trying to do is, let's use this simple example so you understand, because this one is a bit, this one has nested if statements, nested if else, elif. So let's understand it from this one, then we'll go to this one. So let's use this one and do it. So this one will become like this. So it becomes the variable we're setting up here is text. So we come here, we say text is equal to value 1. This is value 1. If condition, this is the condition, else value 2, which is empty string. So this 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of code could be represented with this one line of code. So we take this one out. Okay, that's exactly the same thing. If we run it, we're going to have the same solution. So we use that same principle to rewrite, enhance this one using the ternary expression. So with this ternary expression, we go for what is the variable we're looking for here. We're setting up the suffix. So we say suffix is equal to value 1. This is the value 1. Where is it? st, and condition 1 is this. This is the first condition, and this is the first value. So if that, else, now because the else we still have nested if statements that are in there, the elif are nested if statements. So we need to, all these, the rest of these else will be part of these else since they are nested if statements. So we put that in this giant block of else like this, and then we go statement 2 or value 2, because in this case we're going to have more than 2 values, not just value 1 and value 2. This first value, this is the first value, second value, third value, and the fourth value. Now what are we writing here? We're writing the ternary expression. We should be writing it in here. So this shouldn't be pasting this one here, shouldn't be there, should be here. This is what I meant to do. Okay, if count, yeah, so this is what we're supposed to do. This is what we're supposed to paste that. So we have value 1, value 2, value 3, and the fourth value for the rest of the condition for anything else. So we're going to have 4 values. So this is the first value, and every the other 3 values have to go under this else right here. So we put that in the bracket. So the second value now is nd, and the if for that second value is this. The condition here is this. Okay, the condition is this, and the if, the else for this if, this is the F for this if, all this is the F for this if here, and then this if has its own else, which is gonna be the rest of the 2 remaining values. So else, the 2 remaining values, so it goes in the bracket here. So yeah, so it goes, the first value, first of the 2 remainder is, the first of the 2 is third, and the if condition, the condition here is for the third is this one here. Okay, and then the else for this if now is this last one, the third, for everything else. Else this th. Okay, So that's what it is. So then we can take, let's comment this one out first and make sure our program is running. So this line now, you see here, this line is too long now. This line is too long, so we can break this and make it into new lines. So we go where we see this else, we just break to new line here, new line here. Okay, and this one. So we'll break that into 4 lines of code. 1, 2, 3, 4. Previously we had 8 there. Alright, so let's run our code now and see, make sure everything works properly and that we've broken nothing. So when we run this code now, we're gonna have start of range is 1. Enter name of player, number of players. Let me start with 1 player first, and it says enter the name of player as expected. Now let's see if it runs for, it works for multiple players. So when we run again, start of range is 1, number of players, let's say 25 players. So enter first player, right? Yeah, it seems to be working. 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, around, yeah, it's working. All right, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, and so on. So everything is working well. All right, so in the next video now, we're going to see how we can now start to set the current player session. So we now have to now loop over the number of players and then ask the user to input a number. Okay, ask the player to input a number. So we go here and say for r in range num players, then we want to say input enter a number for FizzBuzz. Okay, so enter the number to check if you, to get a point, we'll check whether it's FizzBuzz or FizzBuzz, where Fizz you got 1 point, Buzz you got 1 point. If it is FizzBuzz, then you earn 3 points. So yeah, so that's what I want to do. Yeah, enter number for FizzBuzz, and then we want to save that number in a variable called num is equal to that. And when we get that number, we need to cast that into an integer. Remember, we'll say that, don't forget that. We're expecting the user to input a number. So to be able to perform some further computation on that number, we need to cast it into integer, because the Python shell sees that as a string, okay, a number string, okay. So we have to say num is equal to int num. Okay, when we cast that number now, we can then yeah, when we cast that number, we can then send it to the FizzBuzz. All right, so we can then send it to the FizzBuzz thing. They will say since we're going to be receiving return we're going to be expecting the FizzBuzz function returns values, okay, either none or 1 or 2 or 3, things like that. Oh, we didn't put return here, sorry. Return 1, yeah, and here we return 1 as well. Return 1 as well, and here return none. Okay, yes. So when we get the return, we can save that in a variable. Say response is equal to FizzBuzz num, the number that the user inputs. Is working. So let's see, let's print response. Let's be printing response here as well. Let's print response. Let's print response, make sure we're getting that right. Print response res, print res. So let's go here. 1 3 AA BB CC. Enter name for FizzBuzz 5. Okay, response is 1. If print fees, now we get 1 token. 3 and 15. Okay, so it's working. For I in range num players, let's go to the num list, the player list, and get the player there, the current player, and display on the screen this and this player is playing. If it were Bob is part of the players, we want it to display Bob is playing now. All right, each turn, each session, a player session, we have to display the name of the player who is playing, whose session it is playing. So we have to say here, for I in range, okay, we want to print to the screen. We're looping here. What is it? Okay, while we're looping num players, y count is this, and when we're looping number of players, we are setting up the names of the players, and then we are setting up the name of the players here, player name, and then we are appending that player name into the player list, or into the player list. Yes, list of players. So we are appending that there. So we need to get the names of the player from the player list. Okay, so we can say here, name of players, enter name of player B, then where are we? Player list I, okay, is playing now. Okay, that's what we want to say. Player list is playing now. This wasn't put it right. That's how I meant it to be. Okay, player list is playing now. So now let's see when the player sends a number which is a fizz and gets a point, or FizzBuzz and gets a point, we want to store that that score in a list of scores. So let's have a list here. Yeah, let's have a variable here called score list. Score list. Score list. Okay, let's initialize that to an empty list, and then we call that list here. So we say score list I dot append, call the append function as well, dot append response. Let's write response. Okay, let's write response for understanding, so we don't get confused with what is res, and so on. Okay, so that's what it is. We're augmenting the value of score list I. So this is what we should do, is score list I, we should be doing this, use the augmentation operator to augment I. At the same time, let's get a list of numbers that have been played, so that when a player plays a number, enters a number, he shouldn't be able to use that same number again. If you look at here, first and foremost, we don't want, when we send a number to FizzBuzz, we can get a number in return, a point in return, and nothing in return. We don't want to add nothing to the scoreboard, to the score list. So we have to check, make sure that what we are adding to the score list is not none. All right, so we need to check that. So we should say, before augmenting this score list, we need to say if response is not none. Okay, we need to check that. Okay, so a response is not none, then before it is augmented. All right, so that's done there. Now we need to, that very number that awards this point that we are augmenting here, we need to store that number in in a numbered plate list, so that if that number is there already and a player plays again that same number, it should not award another point. So let's instantiate another list here. Let's call this one squad plate numbers. Plate numbers. So we set it to plate numbers. That's a list. Plate numbers is equal to this. Okay, plate numbers is equal to that. Then so we now call that plate numbers list. Plate nums. Let's call it plate numbers. Plate numbers I. Plate numbers I. Now we are appending now. Dot append num. Okay. Yes, we are appending this number that has been played so that we don't play it again. Dot append num. Okay. Come here and say while response is not none, num is equal to, yeah, we want the player to keep playing until they lose their session by either playing a number which is not none, which is not, that doesn't reward a point, or by playing a number which has already been played. So while response is not none, num, let's say num is equal to, we say the same thing again, we keep asking input. Okay, we mean the same, this thing here. We're basically repeating this sentence here. Okay, we set that up and we're repeating in there, and then we're FizzBuzzing it again. We are doing the same thing. Okay, yes, we're doing the same thing. We're basically doing the same thing here. Okay. All right. So that's what we're doing there. Then when we do that, get out of this while loop. This for loop, sorry, we're getting out of this for loop now. And then let's print we've ended the show, so let's print this about, say, 60 times. Those print dashes 60 times to mark the end of the game. And now we want to display the scoreboard. Okay, so we want to print now the scoreboard. Let's print the scoreboard, right in big letters, capital letters. Scoreboard. Okay, that's what we want to do. We want to write like this. Is that 5? Yeah, just write like this, something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Scoreboard. Okay, that's what we want to print. Then we want to declare a list of winners. So we want to, let's instantiate a winner list. Or let's say winners. Let's use list to make everyone happy. Use list to make everyone happy. Okay, We instantiate that to an empty array list. Then we say we get max score, but to get the max score, we have to get the maximum score and store in the winner list. Okay, we have to instantiate a variable. So let's get the max score, because we need to check the winner against that. So against the highest score in the list. So max score, maximum score is equal to. So we use the max function on the score list. Score, is that a score list? Yeah, we have a score list there. Yes, we do that. Then we loop over the score list now. Okay, now the length of the score list, that should be, yeah, that should be same as non-players. Okay, that should be the same. So we'll say for I in range, I'm just trying to use, we can use num list, but I don't want to use, so we use different functions because this is a tutorial. It helps you understand how other functions are used. So let's use the length function here and get the length of the score list. Okay, yeah, length function, length score list. Okay, score list. Okay, what do you want to do here? If score list I, okay, if score list I is equal to max score, score list I is equals to max score, what do we want to do? Score list I is equal to max score. We want to say winner list dot append. We want to add that person there, the person having the max score, whose scores has been checked with the max score. I want to add that person to the winner list. Okay, so to list of winners. Okay, we have to make a list because it could be more than one person, one player with that max score. So we want to add that person there and add the people with that max score there. So if there are more than one person, we're gonna have a draw. All right, remember, so we're gonna have draw and then a clear winner. If it's just one person there, that should be a clear winner. If no more than one person in the winner list, means you have draw game. Okay, so that's that's basically the objective here. So dot append, we are appending now winner list dot append, we are appending the append player list I. So the player name. Okay, so we are appending that player, this very player list I. Okay, that's what we're doing. So now we have to come now and check to make sure to see if the player list, the winner list, has more than one player inside. So in this case, we'll have draw. More than one person had hit this highest score mark. Okay, so if we say if number of players is greater than 1. Okay, what do we want to do? If this teaching our grammar again, if length winner list is greater than 1 as well, that's another scenario where we should use and. So if non-players is greater than 1 and length winner list is greater than 1, okay, basically what I'm trying to say. Okay, so if that's the case, we want to print draw game for the following. We want to print draw game for the following. Draw game for the following, I want to print that on a new line. I want that to appear as a heading. Then want to put the following underneath. So we use the new line syntax here, \n for the new line syntax. Sorry, small n there, not big N. For the new line syntax, come on, what's wrong? The new line syntax there. Okay, we want to print that like that. Then we want to now print loop over the winner list, and then print the names of the players in the winner list, or which in this case are the ones who came out draw. So we want to loop through that winner list. So for I in range winner list, length winner list, for I in range length winner list, print, oh, what am I doing there? Okay, that should be like that. Print, what am I printing here? I'm printing winner list I. List I, that's what I'm printing. Okay, that's what I'm printing there. Print winner list I. Else, we're going for this if here. Else it's only one winner. We just print just the winner. We print print winner list I. Okay, print winner list I. Okay, no, we have to say the winner is, so that we're trying to teach this in grammar here. Remember, when it is more than one, the winner list is greater than one, means there's more than one winner. So we want to print draw game. If it is not more than one, then we should say the winner is, say the winner is winner list 0. The winner is it's only one person there. Okay, the winner is, then don't forget our F here, so that I can call the value for this variable here. If not, it's gonna print out the string winner list square bracket 0. That's not what we want. We want it to go and actually fetch the value for that first, because if it's only one winner in that winner list, only one person player in that winner list, that person is going to be at position 0. Remember, list starts at 0. Okay, so we're going to want to get that value at position 0. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're writing there. So for I in range, a lot of I for here in range, learn player list, which is same as number of players. I just said to make use of learn function here, so that you can enhance your knowledge about the learn function. Okay, we can use for I in range non-players, because the length of the player list is the same as number of players. Okay, for I in length non-player player list, player list, yeah. What do we want to do? We wanna print players I and the scores, play points. Okay, so we want to say print F here and my browser. So we want to say player list. Oh no, square bracket there. Player list I. Okay, I want to say, I want to write scores like this. I want to say score. We have a score list I. Then we want to say points. Okay, like that, like so. not this, not no, we've done an error there. This should be here. Okay, yep. So that's what we want to do. Then after we do that, then we say then we print played we print out the number of the numbers played. So you remember we're storing each time a player plays a number, we store that in the and award gets awarded a point. That number is stored in the number of played list of played numbers. So we want to loop through that list of played numbers and then print out the values of that list of played numbers. So that's what we're going to do now. So we say print. What are we printing? We say played, and then remember this string there. My string doesn't work these days. I don't know why. Let's put our F there, then string there. Close that string here. Okay, and then we played this. We're putting what is the variable there? Was the variable played num list. Okay, played nums I. Okay, played nums I. Then we go to this our big fat else here. Else, what do we want to write? Print use chord because what is if players is greater than 1, so this else now, this else is for this player. Is if its player is up for this if clause. If player is greater than 1, this all these things gets printed out, it falls into this block. But if player is 1, then this is what we're trying to say here now. Okay, so if player is just 1, say it has to bring out the name of the player. So let's give our F string here, variable score list 0 points. We want to write points. Okay, score list 0 points, and then print the numbers played. So now I say print. Yeah, I'm basically printing this one played. This one here. Yeah, I'm basically repeating this, but in this case is we now played 0 here, played 0. All right, so that should do it. That should do it perfectly. So let's run the code and see if it works and see what things we've broken. Okay, start of range is 1, number of players is 5. No, let me just start with one player. Always start with one player. Okay, let's start again. Start of range is 1. Enter number of players 1. Name of player is Bob. Okay, Bob is playing now. Enter num for FizzBuzz 5. Got broken. What's it? List out of range. What is that? Enter a number for FizzBuzz. Okay, let's see what's happening in line. List I plus equals response. I've done some modifications here, so let me walk you through again. So we're saying here, okay, let's go back here. So I made some modifications here. For I in num of players, we're looping through this. We're getting the name of the player in the player list, and we're saying this person is playing now. All right, so then we're saying number, we're instantiating a number, enter a number, and then we cast that number into an int. Let's write here, casting into integer. That's what it means. Constantly into integer. That's what our line is doing. This one's called FizzBuzz. We get a response. If the response is not known, we're saying score list I. We augment the value of that score list I, and then we are instantiating. We're adding that num to. Okay, this is what I wanted to show here. So name of player, now we're saying while while we're counting, we're looping through the number of players. For each player, we are creating a session for the player. So we're saying player name is equal to enter name of player. When we get that name of player, we append that to the player. We append that to the player name. We append the player name to the player list, and then we are instantiating the score list, the scores for that player to 0. So we are initializing. We are initializing the score of the player of that particular player, of the current player, to 0, and we are the play num list, the list containing the numbers played already is a list of its own, because it's a list that has list, because each player will have a list of numbers played in that played num list. So it's a list. This is a list that contains list of played numbers by each player. So we are initializing it to empty list. That's the first list. Each time we instantiate a player, we initialize the score list of that player, and then we initialize also the list of played numbers, or in that list of played numbers. So it's like something like this. A list of played numbers. List of played now will end up being something like this. Played nums will be something like this. Is equal to a list that has a list like this. Another list. Then another player's turn, we append again. So inside this one list, a player could have 3, 5, 9, 6, 15, and this second player will have 5, 9, 15, 45, and so forth and so on. Then this player could have just 5 and lost, things like that. So this is the idea. So that's the idea. So each time we instantiate, we initialize a player, we also initialize the list of played numbers for that player. So that's what we're doing here. Okay, because the played num list contains list of players of num plays or played. So we're initializing that as well. Then we come here, we're looping now. We cast that into integer, and then we're now appending the score list I. Remember, as we said, this could be like so. Could be like when we append it for the first time before they start playing, it will be like so. So we are taking these values for this first player. The second player will have its own list like this. Yeah. So we are going player list I. This is 1. If it is the first player, it will be this one, and it will be appending this value for them at the moment, initializing it to 0. It will be appending it to 1 or 3. If the return is 3, it will be augment to 3 or 1 and so on. If according to what the player is getting, the points that the player is earning. Okay, so that's basically what we're trying to do there. So append that. Have unequal curly braces there. Okay, so that's what we are basically doing here. Score list, no score list. Okay, score list. I will respond as well. Respond. Player nums, append num. Okay, we're adding the numbers played to that num played list. So the current player is gotten from the player list. Okay, so that's what we're doing there. Then we're using while loop now to go through this and do the same here, so that we want that the session ceases only when the player plays a number which is none. So we're saying while response is not none, that's the condition there. Okay, where response is not none. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. So let's run this now and see what happens. Let's start with player one. So start range is 1 and just one player. I call that player Bob. Okay, now Bob is playing 5, 6, 15, 145. And I play a number which is not a multiple, then I lose. So we see scoreboard, that's 9, then 60 dashes, and then the scoreboard, there's a Bob, you scored 9 points, and this is the list of plate numbers that gave me the 9 points. As we saw, 5 and 6 gave me Fizz, 5 is Buzz, Fizz 1 points, this one gave me 3 points, that's 5 points there, plus this one is Boss, yeah, it's Boss, so that gives me a 5 plus 1, 6, plus 3 points from 45, because 45 is multiple of 3 and multiple of 5 at the same time. So I got 9 points. So, and these are the numbers I played. So let's see for multiple players. Let's play for multiple players. So range is 1. We have, let's say, 4 players. We have AA, BB, CC, DD. Okay, AA is playing 5, 6, 3, 9, 15. Okay, then number which is not divisible. Now BB is not playing, so whenever you play a number which is not divisible, then you lose. So 5, 10, 15, 3, 15, 3, and plays a number which is not divisible. CC is playing 5, 10, 3, 6, 9. The number which is not divisible. DD is not playing 5, 10, 11, and so on. Now game is over. All the players have played. So the winner is AA. AA scored 7 points and played. These are the numbers that awarded AA with 7 points. Then we have BB scored 6 points, and these are the points that awarded BB with 6 points. You can check those for yourself. Remember, each time we play 15, which is Fizz Boss, we got 3 points, and if it is Fizz or Boss, we earn 1 point. So the CC scored just 5 points, and these are the points that gave CC 5 points. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because they're either Boss, Fizz, Fizz. Okay, so that will give awarded 5 points. Then we have DD who scored just 2 points, 5 and 10. Okay, so but you notice that the numbers that weren't awarded, or that didn't award the point, for example, in the case of 11, when DD was playing, the numbers that didn't award points are not added to the list of plate numbers. Okay, so and these are the numbers that make you lose the game or lose your session. All right, now let's see the scenario where more than one player hit the highest score mark. So let's run it again and deliberately try to draw the game. See, so let's say once the range starts at 1, and then we have 3 players. Then first player is name of first player is AA, BB, CC. Okay, AA is playing now. Okay, AA is playing now. 5, 15, 9, 6. Then place an ugly number. There we go. 5, 15, 9, 45, 49. Okay, CC is playing. 5. Let me try and draw a game there. 5, 15, 9, 45, 49. So I'm trying to draw the game now. Okay, so what do we get? Draw between BB and CC. Okay, so this is how, if there's no outright winner, they have draw games here. So let's check the points for BB and CC. So BB has CC has 8 points, and BB also has 8 points, and these are the numbers that awarded the points for them. So this is how the scoreboard is displayed, but we see now here that it's a bit choked up here, so we need to make spaces for this, and then we try to sort out the edge cases. Okay, for example, let's see if I enter start of range, if I enter 1, that's for start of range. Instead of entering 1, I say I made a mistake and hit L, it breaks. So we want to take care of that. Want to make sure it checks, make sure it's not an make sure the input is a valid input. And also let's run it again, and also let's say start of range is 5, number of players is 0. So it says so there's no max score. We said number of players is 0. You can't have a game with 0 player. We have to make sure we take care of that. We don't want to have a scenario where there's no player or just 0 player. That doesn't work. And also let's run again. Start of range, let's start of range is, let's say 5. It should start at 5. That is start of range. And then number of players, say 1. Okay, and number of players is AA. Okay, now AA is playing now. Now enter a number for FizzBuzz, and I put 3. It's working. It's a Fizz, but it shouldn't work because I set the start range at 5. So anything below 5 should not work. The numbers entered should start from 5, not below 5. I cannot. It shouldn't be able to. It shouldn't be accepting numbers below the start range. Okay, so we're going to take care of all those scenarios, edge cases, in our next video. Okay. Okay, welcome again to this part. So now we're going to be doing, what we're doing now is we're going to now write the functions that will be taking care of ensuring that the what the player is inputting is a valid integer. That means it is an integer, and it's not a character other than an integer, a positive integer, and it should be within the range. So if the start range is 5, it shouldn't accept an integer below the start range of 5 in this case. So we need to write a function that takes care of that. First and foremost, what I'll start off by doing is writing a function that validates the input. That we'll see about the start range. I'll say say def for my function, and I will say is valid input. Then it takes a number. I put in the try catch, okay, try exception block, so that it has to absorb the shock of the breakage. If it is not an integer, it should not yell out with red warnings, because a user doesn't need to see that. So we want to capture that error and output a friendly message to the player, okay, informing them that they have to enter a valid number. Okay, so we put that in the try block. Okay, we'll say int num, okay, variable is equals to that. Then we'll say if int num, let's say this function takes, let's check for the validity to the range. Yeah, let's just check the range. It takes a number and a range, let's say limit. Okay, so int num is equal to this, and if then we say if int num is greater than or equal to the limit, then return int num. Okay, return this variable. So we'll convert that into an integer. So if the conversion is, if the casting is successful, that's a number, and then that's a positive, that's a number, and then we have to then check if it is equals to or above the limit that the function is going to receive. If that's the case, it should return the number. It should return the number. Okay, and in the exception block, in the accept block, okay, in the accept block, it's a value error. In the accept block, we should then return none. Return none, okay? We should then return none. Should then return none. So that's what it is. Then we come here, we define now. We want to make sure that when the user inputs a number which is not valid input, which is not a valid input, the system, the program should allow the user to enter or ask the user to enter another number. It shouldn't, the user, the player is not going to lose the session, but the system is going to keep asking asking the user to input another number until the number the user enters is a valid number. It is an integer, a positive integer, and the integer is greater than the limit that is passed in. All right, so we have to write a function that does that. So for example, let's just call that function setup. Let's say setup, a function called def setup. Call a function setup, and that setup takes a number and a limit, num and a limit. Okay, takes a num and a limit. But what does it do? It will say, it will get a response is equal to, when it receives that number from a caller, it has to pass that number to this integer for validity. So this function checks, make sure every input is valid. That's the job of this. That's the job of this function. The is valid input. That's the job. But the setup now will keep asking. If it is not a valid input, the setup will keep asking the user to put in more. And each time it gets an input from the user, it sends it to the is a valid input for the valid input function to verify the input of the user. If it is not, it keeps asking the user again. So that function, that responsibility now is given to this new function we are defining now, which is setup. So it will say, it will call this function, send those two values for checkup. Call this function and pass in num and limit. Okay. Now it will pass the now. Then we say while response is not none. While response is none, yes. While response is none. While response is none. Each time it gets a feedback from this function, each time the return is none, it should keep asking. It should print out print. Okay. Number should be integer. Number should be integer. Integer greater, not less than the start num. Okay, not less than. Number should be integer, not less than. Okay, not less than the limit. Okay, so since we are invoking variable inside the string, we'll put our f function there, the f there. Yeah, so that's what we want to do. We want to output the number you enter, as long as the response is none, which means the number is not an integer, or it was an integer but less than limit. Okay, if that is the case, those two conditions, if that's the case, it should keep asking the user. It should say number you entered should be an integer. Let me put on here. Should be an integer, not less than limit. Okay, the limit that is passed there. Okay, and then when it outputs that, they should ask the user to input another number again. They will check it. They will say input enter a number, or let's just say enter a number again. enter a number again, enter a number again. Okay, integer not less than, okay, limit. Okay, so in that case we put our f there, f function there. Okay, so it should print out number you enter. The number you enter should be an integer, not less than, in limit. Then it says that's like a warning. They say, okay, enter a number again, integer not less than. So let's put this in bracket, integer not less than limit. Okay, like this. So put brackets like that. Okay, then and we save that in response again, same response. So response is equals to that. Okay, and when we get that number, we need to check for integer. We need to check, it needs to, when it gets this number again, it needs to send it to the valid input. So it needs to send it to valid input. So say it will get a response back from there, goes to valid input. It's a valid input. What we're saying, so valid input response then unlimit, send the limit again. So so in this case, since we are doubling this thing here, what we should actually do here, we take this value here, take this value here in the place of response and put it there. Then we do away with this line here, no use. Okay, exactly. Okay, that's what it is. Yep. So while that is the case, then until if the value is the value enter is valid, then it returns response to the caller. Okay, returns response. So that's basically what it's doing here. Now we go to where the caller of this function, because setup calls is valid input. It talks with it, valid input to check. It gets a request, gets two numbers, num and limit. It sends out here, check this one, helps to check it, and then it verifies. If it is okay, happy with it, then it sends a response to the caller. But it doesn't send a response to the caller unless this thing has been checked and make sure it's valid. So it doesn't send none. Setup doesn't send none to the caller, but its valid input sends none to the caller. That enables the setup to keep asking the user to input another number. Okay, so we go now to the caller who will be calling setup. Let's see what we'll be calling setup. See what we'll be calling setup. We'll be calling setup here. What we say start num is equal to input enter start of range. So the user will enter a number. So we want to send that to setup, so that setup can then, if the user makes a mistake and enters a character instead of an integer, setup will keep asking the user enter a number each time. So we should put all this one into the setup function. Setup. Okay, put this one inside. Setup takes two parameters. So we are sending two arguments in there. That's the input from the user. That's the one. So this setup here, this setup here, it takes a number and a limit. So enter start range should be, you decide whatever the range is, then should not be 0. We want to make sure it is not 0, so we should put 1, because what we want to do here is the number input for start range will come to here, will be mapped to num, and the one that we are sending there as limit will come to here. So if it is a number, let's say the user enters 5, we want to make sure it is a valid input, so we check 5 is an input, but then it should be if response goes to valid input. Okay, so it will take this limit and send here, so that number should be an integer. It checks it's an integer, but then it should be greater than or equal to 1. So we don't want any number which is less than 1 for FizzBuzz, so we don't want 0. So if it is, it will check. If you enter 0, it will come here and check. All right, but so 0 is not 0 is less than 1, so it will not, it will send the response from this is valid input will be none, and while it is none, it will keep asking this question until it is not none anymore before it sends a response to the caller, which is in this case the start num variable. Where are we here? In this case, the start num variable. So the limit here is 1. This is the first input, first num maps to num, and the limit is 1. Then, so we don't need this one anymore. So we don't need that one anymore. Then non-players, same thing. We do the same thing with non-players. So we cut this out, and we'll put it inside the setup. Inside the setup function. Okay, put it there, and the limit there should be number of players. We should, the limit there should be 1 as well, because we don't want a game played by 0 players. So there's no way, if a user mistakenly omits to input number of players, it should not allow the setup to continue. It should keep on asking on the user to insert number of players, okay, and it should not be less than 1. So that's what we're saying. So then we do away with this one now. We don't need this one. Non-players. Okay, we don't need this one now. Okay. All right. So why is this one turning gray? Okay, so we need to call this one somewhere. We need to call it somewhere. Okay. So that's what it is. So we go now here. We go down here and say player name is because the input enter the name of player, so we don't need to check that. That's obviously a string. Now we come here, we say this is playing, so we say input enter a number for FizzBuzz. We need to check this one, make sure user is not entering a character or omitting to enter a number, or yeah. So that's basically the same thing there. So we invoke let me make sure what do we do here. Sort of, okay, so we invoke the setup function and put all this one inside. Yeah, all this one inside. Invoke the setup function. Invoke the setup function and put all that inside. And of course, it takes two. We need to pass in an argument. Okay, an argument there, which in this case is should not be less than start num. Should not be less than start num. So start num. Okay, that's that there. That's happy with that. Then where else are we asking again? Here again. Okay, we're doing the same thing here. So I'm just gonna copy this and paste it there. Same thing. All right, so I think then we're done. I think that's it there. All right, that should take care of everything. So we've seen, you see the addition here is this function, and this function for the various responsibilities. So let's play it now and see how it see how many things that we've broken already. So let's see, start of range is 1, number of player is 0. Okay, so it says number should be an integer not less than 1. Okay, so enter number again, enter an integer not less than 1. Okay, so let's say my start range is 5. Start range is 5. So number of players, let's say 1. Okay, enter name of player, A. Okay, now AA is playing. A is playing, so enter num for FizzBuzz. I've entered 3. Number should be an integer, not less than 5. You see, because we said start range is 5. It should tell you not less than 5. So enter a number again, integer not less than 5. So it automatically fetch. It went and fetched the value for the start num. That's why we use variable, not hard coding it. So it went and fetch it and put it in the string. So if we change it to 10, or let's say the FizzBuzz game should start at 10, make to raise the bar high. So let's say start range is, let's say for example I make a mistake and I went, instead of putting a number, I enter H. Okay, I enter H. Now number should be an integer, not less than 1, because it recognizes, it sees that I did not, so we don't get that weird screaming red error message anymore. It's just nice message say, yo, your number you enter should be an integer, and it should be greater than, it should not be less than 1, because that's the start range. We don't want FizzBuzz to start from, we want it to start from 1. Your start range should be from 1, so it will pick it from there, whatever you enter as a start range. So and then less than 1, so I say my start range now is 20. Okay, so enter number of players, and I put K. Okay, number should be an integer, not less than 1. Enter a number again, integer not less than 1. So I enter players is 2 this time. Okay, enter the name of first player. Okay, B Susan. All right, so Bob is playing now, and I enter number for FizzBuzz. I enter 5. You say number should be an integer, not less than 20. You see, because the start range we set up in during the setup, we said the start range should be 20. So you cannot enter a number less than 20. Let me try 15. Let me try 15 this time. You see, it doesn't accept. 18. Nothing. It doesn't. It keeps asking me until I put from 20. It accepts 20. Boss, sorry, because boss 20 is multiple of 5, so it's working now. But let's give some space there, make it cleaner. So we've taken care of all these edge cases. I just noticed that it's so enter a number was to be, but let's give a space here. Let's give a colon and space. Enter a number less than, okay, colon and space. Okay, we're happy there. Yeah, that's it there. Come here. Okay, that's there. That's good there. All right, then where again? I think. Yeah, I think we've done. So that's all about the FizzBuzz the game. Okay, welcome to this section. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna try to add some colors. Trying to make it nice and enhance our presentation. So we want that when the user enters an invalid input, it should send out a warning in red, and when, let's say, the scoreboard should be a different color, and then the scores should be a different color. So to do that, we need to invoke the call. We need to create a dictionary. The purpose of it is so that we see how we can create a dictionary and access that dictionary. We create a dictionary of colors. To get those colors, if we go to, we can just Google that. We go to Google and look for, open our Google, look for NC colors, ANSI colors, and colors. Look for NC colors. We'll see this, so just copy this and create a function, and then each time we can access that function to get the color. So copy that, go back to our code, create a function there. Let me create a function here, def, call it colors, function there. We're gonna receive a color. We're gonna pass the color that we want. then it will return that color that we're looking for in the dictionary. Then we create a dictionary. Let's say color dictionary. Color dict. That's a color dict is equal to create our dictionary. Dictionary is created with bracelets. It's not a list. A list, we saw a list with square brackets. Dictionary is an object. It has it's created with curly braces, curly brackets. Okay, in Python. So I think, yeah, do it one by one. Okay, so go back there. So we got black there. Let's get red. Okay. All right. That's it. So the last one doesn't need comma there. Don't need comma for the last one. So that's what we have: red, yellow, cyan, and magenta. Cyan and magenta. All right. So now we come where we want to change colors for the text. We can then, okay, no, we've not finished our function there. So when we call this function and pass in a color, we want to return color dict, then the color that was passed in. Okay, we want to return that. Okay, we want to return that. That's the job of the function. So this is what it is. This is how you declare a dictionary. So put in the things normally dictionary like this. So color dict, see, like dict is equal to like this. That's what we're doing. So but since we have many of those things in new line, so you can put them, it's basically like key value pairs, like key one, that's like key one, key one, key value pair, and then value one, val one. Okay, there you go on, comma, then key two. This is how you define a dictionary in Python. Key two, then val two, and so on. That's basically what we did here. And that's what we've done. But since you're many, we put them in new lines, so you could this is exactly what we did, like this. That's what we've done, and then this curly braces here like that. That's basically what we've done. Okay. What like this. That's what we've done. Exactly what we've done. So that's dictionary there. Now, so when we come here, we're calling that function. Let's call the colors here. Let's call colors and pass in the color 1 to 1. For this error message here, we want to get the colors. So it's a variable. So we want to get the value there. So colors, that's the name of the function. Then we want to pass in red. Remember, you have to put it in single quotes, red. We can't use double quotes here because we have quotation mark here. So if we put a double quotation mark here, Python will think that that's the end of this code. I wouldn't know what to do with this rest. So you put single quote in there as a string so that it will be printed out with a single quote. It will go there and look for red. Go to the colors. It will come here, pass in this color. The red will become this one. They will go here and look for the red and return this value here. That's what we're doing. So then let me give you I have a reset there. I forgot to put a reset. I got a reset somewhere. I don't know where. So I got it online somewhere. I got a reset value there. Well, you can find it on the internet as well. I wanted to get a reset value for the colors. So reset. There's a reset here. Okay, it should not be equal to. It should be a colon. Colon. Okay, that should work. So after we mark this color, so let's see, we put right here. So let's see, let's run it now and try an error. Let's say instead of number, I put hash. Okay, it says enter number, enter should be an integer in red. but enter number again. We don't want this to be red, we want just this error to be red. So what we need to do now is call the reset. So we call colors reset after that error. After the error message, we call colors again, but this time we are passing in the reset. So after here, we call reset in here. Reset. Call reset, so that when we run it again, say make an error again, H. See, the number should be an integer, no, it's a 1, and it's in red. Then it asks us again, we make another error. Let's say I put -40, -4. It denies that. It should not be less than 1. Okay, if -4 is less than 1. Okay, so it denies that and asks us again in red. Okay, so next thing we want to do now is we've gotten our colors function. So you've seen dictionary, how to create dictionary. You've seen many things here, how to create functions, custom functions that perform your duty. Give name to your function according to what they perform, the responsibility of the function. That's what guides you to in defining a function. And we see how we code our function. We see how we return values from a dictionary. So we're returning the dictionary and passing in the colors in the square bracket there. Now, so I realized something here. So whenever there's let's say we're here, when we say let's go to winner list. So when the scoreboard, let's write this scoreboard in let's write it in magenta, yellow. Let's call the colors here. Put our F there. Let's call colors function here and say yellow here for scoreboard. Yellow, and then we call reset again. Okay, so that it reset the colors back to where it should be. If not, it's gonna be yellow everywhere. Reset. I'm passing yellow again. Reset here. Reset. Passing in reset there. That's the scoreboard. Want to display that in yellow, and let's say draw game should be okay. Let's leave it like that. Let's say cyan. Draw game should be cyan, is it? Should be so. Can we just pass cyan here? This is what I want here. Let's say cyan here, and reset. Then here we call yellow on draw game. On draw game we call yellow. So F here we call yellow. Yellow. And then reset here. Reset here. Reset there, and then the winner is, so draw has to go the same like the winner is. Okay, so what we're doing here, obviously we get this yellow here. Okay, got a yellow there. Didn't get that way. Let's just write it in here. The winner is yellow. Colors yellow, so you should go in curly bracket there. Okay, curly bracket there, curly bracket here. Okay, that's what we want. Then reset after winner. I don't know, do we? Yeah, so between the following. Yeah, we just want to reset. Just the winner is. Let's put reset here. Reset here. Reset. Set there, and our square bracket here and here, and not square brackets, curly brackets. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do there, and use code here. We can then put magenta. I think let's use magenta here. Okay, player is the print. Player list I, scores I. Let's put all this in magenta. All this in magenta. All this in magenta. All this in magenta. What is that doing? All this in magenta. Colors magenta. Magenta. And then reset here. Points. Okay, reset here. Reset. Okay. What's happening here? Who is this? Yeah, I think the same thing here. Okay, so we're gonna put this one here, same thing here. So this one here, magenta. Get our magenta there. We're putting it here, winner. Okay. Call this. Is that what we're doing there? Yep. Yep. Oh, that's not what we're doing there. Okay, we just leave that one there like that. It's just one player. Hold on. So let's run that and see what it does. So one player. Instead of getting run and then one player. Enter error. Enter name of player. Okay, J, whatever. J is playing now. I made an error. I put Y. Okay, number should be blah blah blah. Okay, so I enter 0. Error. Enter -5, -8. Doesn't work, so it's asking me to. So we'll need a space here. After this, we should have a space. So is playing. We should have a space there. So let me enter a number here. Enter 5. Okay, boss. We have. Let's get that boss to be a different color. And 8. Okay. Okay. We see our scoreboard in cyan, and then you scored this points, 1 point. Okay. You played 5. Then we need to change color for the boss. Okay, let's see in a case where we have multiple players. So start range is 5. Players is 3. Player 1 is AA, BB, CC. AA is playing. 5, 6, 15. Okay. Okay, number should be integer, even though it is not divisible, but it's out of range. Let's say 7. Okay, BB is playing. We need a space there. Each time it says so is playing, we need a space. Okay, so enter a number for FizzBuzz. So let's just go and put, okay, let's do 5, 9, 3, 8, 6, 9, 15, 10, 11. Okay, so all right, so the draw game between these. We draw game in yellow. I didn't use red anywhere. Okay, I use red over there. Okay, I use red over here. Use red over there. Scoreboard. Okay. Right now I draw game for the following in green. So we have these two. We need a space here. And then we have A scored these points. You played this number. We need a space. B played this, scored this. Okay, we need a space as well. This you scored 2 points. All right, so okay, let's see. Let's give those spaces. That's what we're talking. The space we're talking about. So give those spaces there. So what I'm saying is, let's start from the top. So this one keeps asking. That's okay there. Once everything is okay, Then we want to say enter name of player, enter name of, okay, that's okay there. That's okay there. Number for FizzBuzz, okay, so say now it's playing, we should give a space there, so we give space there, we go to, let's give the \n for new line there, backslash n, so that's what we want. Scoreboard, we want to say, okay, when we get scoreboard, we need a new line there, so let's put \n there, \n for new line. Okay, okay, we need there's a new line there, that's fine. Scoreboard new line, okay, that's fine. We don't need new line here for this. We don't need, let's take this new line out from here. We just want it to be immediately under the scoreboard there. Okay, so then we come here, following, and we know that, okay, now this way for okay, now when we're looping now, okay, okay, this way we need this new line. We need new line here, the new line, and then yeah, that's what we're talking. \n. All right, so let's run it. I hope it does. Okay, let's go to FizzBuzz and put colors there. How dumb am I? Set again here. Set. Okay, let's give spaces so that it looks choked up. Don't want it to be choked up like that. Okay. Make spaces there. Okay. Okay, I think that's done. I think that's fine. Let's see it now. Okay, start of range is 10. Number of players is 5. Enter name of player 1. Maybe CC DD EE. Okay, so we got our space there. Okay, Bob is playing now. We didn't see, we needed a color there. Okay, let me see. 15 for FizzBuzz. I got, was that yellow? And I got 3 for FizzBuzz. Okay, 3 is less than starting on 10, so we say 12. Okay, now we got Fizz, but we didn't reset the colors and we didn't put that in what? We didn't, it's not reading the variable. It's not reading the variable for Fizz. It's not reading the variable for Fizz, so something's wrong here. Okay, because of this double curly braces. Okay, and we don't, okay, so it's working there, this double curly braces, that's why. Okay, so that should work. And now it's playing now. Okay, so that's is playing now. We didn't put colors here. Okay, we didn't put colors here. We want this to be cyan, cyan, and then we put reset here. Reset. Okay. What else? What else? I think that should do. Run the program again. So start at 10. Number of players is 5. AA, BB, CC, DD, EE. Alright, so we have our cyan there. Enter our name of for FizzBuzz and the 5. 5 is less than, so I enter 12. I get Fizz, I enter 15. Get FizzBuzz, I enter 20. I get Buzz and I enter a stupid number. Number should be an integer, no less than 10. Okay, so let me put 11. Okay, now BB is playing now. Okay, that's what we wanted. In the new line, give a space, but then we should let's write something here that times up. this number is not a multiple. Let's do something like that. Not just like, let's say, let's output something like time's up. Your time is up. Okay, say something like that in red. Yeah, so okay, time's up. Okay, all right, so we're forgetting to check to make sure player is not playing a number twice. Okay, so to do that, we need to, in this our FizzBuzz game, so we need to make sure somebody is not playing number twice. So okay, see here we are printing this, here we are printing this if the number is a multiple, and then we are returning value. Here let's print here let's print a message. Let's print let's say print let's bring in colors because it's error message. So let's put in that color comes with, I already copied it with that. Yes, let's put red here, red, and then we say, of course, we're gonna put another color again at the end, and this time it will be, what did I do there? 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 Okay, this time it will be that will be reset. That will be reset. All right. Okay, then here we want to print we want to say time is up, time up, exclamation mark. Okay, time's up. That's what we want to say. You already no, we want to say you want to say a number, so we call the num variable, the number that was passed in num, okay, is not a multiple. Oh, what am I writing? Multiple. We should write it in capital letters. So we write it big, make it big. Yeah, let's make it big. Is not a multiple. That's what we want, of 3 or 5. Okay, we are writing that here, but it should, in case we had decided to put that in a variable, we use a variable here. But since we say it should be, the function should be checking if number is divisible by 3 or 5. But you can modify your function. Instead of saying hard coding 3 or 5, you can change the game. It could be 5 and 7 or whatever to make it harder. So that's easy to do. Instead of 3 and 5, so you come here, instead of 3 and 5, in your FizzBuzz function, you put variables here, check 1 and check 2, and say if it is multiple, is divisible by check 1, you do that and do that. That's easy to do. You can modify that to say that, or to perform, to work like that. Okay. All right, so this is where we are now. That's doing that. That should do that. So if your number is not a multiple, that's what it's going to say. But then we want to make sure that it checks, before it checks your number, it needs to check with the list of played numbers to make sure the number you're entering is not there. So if that's the case, it should tell you that you already played that number. So which means this function should accept a list as well. So let's add a list. A list. So whenever you call this FizzBuzz function, whenever you're calling FizzBuzz function, you should pass the list. Where are we calling FizzBuzz function? In play game, right? We're calling the FizzBuzz function inside the play game. Where are we? We are calling this play game. We're calling the FizzBuzz function. Where we say, do we say FizzBuzz? Where are we calling the FizzBuzz? Okay, we don't need this. This line of code is redundant. Okay, we don't need this again. Forgot to do that. Okay, this way we're calling the FizzBuzz function. We should pass a list. and which is the list that we're going to pass this one, played norms, so that the function should check to make sure it's valid. If it's already there, it means your function is not valid, your number is not valid. So that's what we're doing there. So it's calling it, and I think it's calling it somewhere again here, the same thing. So pass the list again, played norms. Okay, so then when it receives the list, what does it do with it? Receive the list, what does it do? It has to check if num is not, is that what we say? If num not in, if num not is, if num not in list, okay, if num not is in list, then it has to check for all this. Okay, so that's a block of code there that it perform. That's when it should perform all this. If not, if it is in this, else, okay, print. Okay, put our F here, and then we say, put our colors red again. Sorry, that's no, our colors come with that already. I keep forgetting. Come on, keep forgetting that. Print there. Put our colors there. Oh no, no colors anymore. This is not how this is the colors here. Okay. Put our colors there red. Okay, and then we say time up. Time's up. Time's up. Okay, time's up. Small s here. S there. Time's up. Exclamation mark again. So we say you already played num. Okay, you already already played bracket num. Okay, because that's the num that we're receiving there. It has to check in the list and so on. So let's see, then we reset color. So let's not forget the reset color. Give a space there and put our reset color there. It should be reset. Okay, reset. Okay, reset color. What's that? Why is it yelling at me? Oh, okay, this shouldn't be there. Should be here. Should be here. Okay. All right. I think it should work now. So let's check everything. Run our program again. So let's say start of range is 5. Number of player is 3. Okay, AA, BB, CC. Okay, AA is playing now. And then number for FizzBuzz, I say 3. Okay, it's below number. Enter again. I say 5. Okay, accepts 5. Boss 6, 9, 12, 15. Then I enter 6 again. Enter 6 again. I had already entered 6, so it's not checking. It's not checking. Okay, let me enter 15 again. It's not checking. So it's not checking if that number has been played. So what are we doing wrong? Okay, sorry. We're doing it wrong. Play num list I. Yeah. So we should say I for the current player. It's checking for the current player. Okay, that's what we should do. So because when we send play num list, we just say play num list. It's just sending. It's returning none. Okay, so not returning the value. So it should run now. So we run that. Say 5. Enter num of players. Say 3. Then we go AA, BB, CC. Okay, it is now playing 5. Okay, 15, 9, and go 15 again. Okay, time's up. You already played 15. Okay, it's great. It works. All right, so its valid number should be 5, 15, and 9. So it is gonna have 5, 1, 3, and 1. So it's gonna be 5 points. This one is not gonna be counted, so it's gonna have just 3 numbers. Okay, we'll see that when we get to the results. So there we go. So 9, 5, then put a number which is not a multiple and see. Okay, time's up. 8 is not a multiple of 3 or 5, or 5, not of 5. It's not. It should read. It's not a multiple of 3 or 5. 3 or 5, not 3 of 5. All right. So let's see. 45, 55, 65, 100, 7. Okay, time's up. Is not a multiple of 3 or 5. Okay, so we see the scores now. See what we said. Okay, everything's clear now. See the scores now. Winner is this. Winner is C, because C got 6 points. How many points? Yeah, 6 points. So all right, so that's all about the FizzBuzz the game. That was FizzBuzz the game. I hope you enjoy it, and if you like it, if you like the video, like the tutorial, then go ahead and smash the like button on my YouTube channel. Okay, and I'm gonna put the source code. The source code is underneath the video. Okay, I'm gonna put the source code, where to get the source code of this lesson of the FizzBuzz the game. Okay, so bye bye.